Hey guys, Dave here from Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds with some of my esteemed colleagues, and today we're going to be discussing Rangers from 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. And first of all, who are we?
Who are we? Well, I've been tracked down to be Ryan.
I'm Nate.
I'm Ted.
I'm Mark.
And today, one of these kids are doing their own thing. Can you figure out who?
I have my shirt on. I just don't feel like showing it right now.
Yeah, right.
So, 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, we're talking Rangers, Wilderness Warriors, Hunters, Trackers,
Lovers of beasts.
Lovers of Beasts.
So what's your
Hey,
what's your first impression?
Dude, I was loving it until I got to like level 3.
What don't you love about level 3?
Well, I've always liked the Beastmaster type of Ranger and the Animal Companion feature.
Tarzan.
You mean
Tarzan.
like Beastmaster, like the movie and the show?
Yeah, only much weaker because you have to give all your actions to the ferrets.
Well, you can have them move without it costing anything. Just having them attack.
They're not actually your friends. You mentally have whipped them into servitude,
Yeah.
like some kind of mind flayer.
Precursor to the Psionics, really.
Yeah. You're the precursor to the Psionics. Throw me some ferrets.
Yeah, so I mean that part's kind of weird. I mean when you get extra attacks, it's not as bad because you can like
Allocate some of that.
yeah, you can split them up, but it's still using your action to have the beast do anything, and it's not even really cool until 7th level, where then you can be like, all right, well you can make it help you all the time to gain advantage as a bonus action, but you're always going to suck your bonus action to do that.
Yeah.
But the other things that are really cool about Ranger in this edition is, I like what they did with the favorite enemy, where it's the class isn't really built around that anymore. You're more knowledgeable. You're better at tracking those things. You get some language. You get a language out of it. That's all like cool and flavor stuff. But it's not like, oh, I'm not fighting orcs, so I suck. Or on 15th level, it doesn't really matter when I fight orcs anymore. So I kind of like that stuff.
Well, that's a piss poor choice of favorite enemy, my friend.
Well,
you don't waste it on orcs and goblins.
I'll take beholders.
Yeah,
or something.
in earlier editions, you really had to stack it the other direction and be like, all right, my guy really despises dragons. Well, I'm not going to fight dragons
But in
until
case
I'm
I do,
15th level. So in 3.5, it's like, well, I'm going to build up this +8 versus damage, and to a hit against dragons, so that when I eventually encounter them, I'm badass against them. But it's not going to do any squat for me now.
Yeah.
Well, favorite enemy doesn't really help you unless you're in a campaign where you're facing your favorite enemy a lot. Most of the time, you're sitting there going, God, come on, throw an orc at me. Or whatever,
Give me a hobgoblin or something.
Give a dog a bone.
Well,
But-
I mean, I think part of that has to do with actually having your DM work along with you. If you've got a character concept, your DM should be angling towards that. You shouldn't be in a situation where it's like, hey, I made this ranger who despises demons. Oh well, you're not going to see that in this game.
It's
Then
not that kind of
what the hell am
campaign.
I playing this character for?
Well, I mean, at that point, too, you have to collaborate with the player and the DM and be like, look, I got this idea for this demon hunter, and you might be like, well, it so happens that the last demon went extinct in my campaign 3 days ago.
Well, actually, in my world.
In my world. Yeah, but, and still, even if you, like, throw them a bone and throw one in there every once in a while, it's still,
Right.
it's weak for a major part of your character feature.
Right. And
I like in here, skill checks makes you better at them. You can get a language out of it.
right.
It's good stuff.
Not so focused on the direct combat.
Right.
The Ranger's good at combat in general, I think, rather than being really good at fighting a specific type of enemy.
You've got some of the major advantages of fighter mixed with essentially some combat druid spells mixed in. They get
Better than, really.
Well, I mean-
they're like specifically focused for combat.
Right, I
and
mean,
some of them
you-
I would wish to have access to if I had a druid. Was playing a druid.
True. Your ranger spells are pretty nice, and they're for the ranger. So you've got a nice little mix there that is definitively different than the Elder's Knight, and it's not built into the class that favorite enemy is everything.
Well, I don't know. I think my ideal or opinion with a Rangers is maybe a little different than you guys, because most of the stuff I do, I'm more combat oriented. Flavor to me is more damage.
This flavor tastes like hurting.
I like the flavor.
Tastes like pain.
The flavor.
I think of the Rangers more of like a Green Beret, Special Forces kind of guy because he's out there, he's by himself. He is
Cutting
the
off
last,
ears.
if not the
Wait,
only line
so
of
you're
defense.
saying you see it like an Army Ranger?
Could
Put
be.
up shade.
Could be an Army Ranger. Well, then Army Rangers aren't that tough, you know, but
Oh man, Mark's address
Marine
is-
Green Berets, they got it going on. You know? No, I'm joking. Any Army Rangers out there? I live in Maine, so don't even try to come look for me.
You won't find me.
Yeah, clearly not.
And don't think because I'm black, I'm the only one there, right?
Oh man.
But I like to see them. I like to see them. I would actually have given them a higher hit points because they don't really wear a lot of armor, and if you look at their picking their skills, whatever, it's they really jam you up because I mean you're a ranger. You think about it. When I build a character, I build my character with the idea that he could be on his own somewhere, having to get his way out. Not that he's always going to have all his buddies around him.
Right.
So when you think of a ranger that way, a ranger is supposed to be a solo dude. You
True.
know? So, I mean, what good are you solo if you can't survive in the wilderness? Or you're not stealthy? Because when you're alone, you bet your ass you got to hide sometimes.
Well,
For
so
real.
with that being said, they get 3 skills, so pretty much you're right. That's perception, stealth, and survival for that type of character.
Right.
Although if you go elf, you'll get your perception and you get 2 from your background. So if you pick say Outlander, that gives you survival, and I forget what the other one was that you get from that.
Well, they tell you to pick Outlander now.
yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the recommended. Outlanders, it might be athletics.
Yeah. So I mean,
Outlander's good.
So you're gonna get either 5 or if you're an elf 6. Well, I mean most ones might have
Athletics
a
and survival.
Yeah.
They're good.
Yeah.
So the 2 that you really need as ranger, you get with your background if you pick Outlander. So.
Right. Well, but what if you want to play something else?
Well, then you're not a very good ranger then.
Well, yeah.
Well, I mean,
you can use your one of 3 skills that you get as a ranger to pick survival and.
So if you want that epitome or epitome, whatever word, however you want to pronounce it, of ranger, the fact that they, unlike so many others, get 3 instead of 2, they give you all right. Regardless of what your background is, you can get perception, survival, and
Yeah, as far as fighter the warrior classes go, the ranger's your skill monkey
right.
with 3.
Well,
But in this edition, that means a lot more.
getting an extra proficiency, really works. Now, suppose you at early game where you're only dealing with that proficiency bonus being a +2, if you're putting that high dex, high strength, high con mod, you've got your physicals covered, so you don't need every single skill. We are looking at proficiency bonus only being a range of 2 to 6, and you can make a check even if you're untrained. So even if you're not the best, you still can make the you can still try.
Right. Yeah, it's not as a big deal as it was before. One of the really things worth mentioning you guys talked about is the spells.
Yeah.
I mean, 2nd level, you're getting spells and you're getting good spells. Like
Some of them
in
pretty
previous
sweet.
edition, you're like, can I trade my spellcasting for anything?
A feat, a ham sandwich,
Change of underwear? I don't know.
And don't forget, some of those spells can just be used as a bonus action.
A lot of the spells are used as a bonus action.
No, I didn't get to look at the list too much, but a lot of them are ranger specific. Like
Yeah.
no one else has these, right?
Yeah.
Although I didn't really compare versus the druid, but a lot of times I was looking at druid, I was like,
Dude,
the
no,
druid wishes
I-
he could cast like the ranger.
I did, man, because I looked at Ensnaring Strike, and I was like, man, I would like to get that spell as a druid, and you can't get it.
Oh, what about
You can take that. There's a feat that lets you pick from different.
Yeah, you'll get the one. The one side of it.
Magic Initiate. I actually thought about that, but
You also have Hunter's Mark,
yeah, that's a good
concentration
one.
up to an hour. You do an extra D6.
And you can switch it around. So it's funny. Right? I love 5th edition how they snuck in all the 4th edition isms, right? And
They just rebranded it.
They rebranded it. They
Repackaged.
changed it up so not to anger people too much, but which is unfortunate because a lot of the guys that really like 4th edition, I feel like someone needs to tell them, a lot of the stuff that you probably liked about 4th edition's in here.
It's just hidden.
They just
It's
don't
the
call
secret
it out.
ingredient to the sauce. Is all.
Yeah. Watts just ain't calling it out like they did before.
Yeah.
Well, it's a shame. Yeah.
Hail of Thorns. Love that. Love that spell.
That's the one where you basically turn your ammunition into
Mini ammunition.
So a lot more ammunition,
Macro ammunition. You fire, and then you hit, and then it explodes and hits all targets within 5 feet adjacent of the guy.
is it based off your weapon damage or is it spell
I
damage?
think it's a D10.
You do your weapon damage
To the
to
target.
the creature, and then anyone within 5 feet that makes a dex saving throw, creature takes D10 piercing damage on a failed save or half on a successful one.
Yeah, there's some definitely cool stuff going on with the spells. They're definitely flavored towards the ranger. Although it is kind of weird though if you think about rangers through the additions and how they cast spells now. I feel like in most other editions of the game we just kind of ignore it for the most part. Like,
Well, by the time a ranger could cast a spell, it was like,
Weren't they
what's the
just level?
point?
Yeah, they were like high level. They were like
Yeah.
4th level or whatever when they got like 2 first level spells. Or something.
right, and their first level spells from like a different spell, so they're
And they
they're
weren't
lame.
that good. Yeah.
Right.
They weren't.
And for second, wasn't it even longer for second editions?
It's like 6th, I think, somewhere
I
6th,
feel like
7th.
what was ninth? Did anything get it like 8th or 9th, like that high?
I don't even remember that far back.
I forget if it was like. I remember like, oh, you get spells eventually.
Rangers and Paladins, I believe, were on the same
like-
same mark, but it was much later. And for you guys out there, you got to remember our group. We didn't play high level games. Over the 18-ish years that we've been playing, we've had a small handful of games that saw double digits of levels. So I can always reminisce about our Shattered Realm game.
I think I'm probably the culprit because I did most of the running and I would get bored of running the same game, and I would need to reinvigorate my DMing hat by changing the game, screwing these guys up all the time. But I think like this time around with us gaming, there's a lot more DMs at the table,
Right.
so I'm getting to play more. I think we're probably going to stick with the same characters longer.
I hope so because it's. I don't. How do I say this without sounding like a fruitcake?
F you guys.
You get attached to the character, kind of. It's like I'm not crazy. Well, not certified anyway. But you, the longer you play it, the more you're like, okay, you know what this guy can do. You don't have to constantly flip back through the character sheet and look through the book. You know he does this, he can do that, he can do this in that
He
situation.
completes you.
He completes you. It
Yeah.
becomes your friend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Well,
your alternate ego.
I totally get that. I mean, you guys know, with me, I really care about my characters. I invest a lot of time, in their creation and their role playing, and I've got that, feeling, and I can sit back and I can ramble off a list of like 6 or 7 characters I've played over the years that if any of the DMs said, "Hey, I'm playing this game again," I'm like, "Great, let's do it!" So
Yeah, and that's the difference between that, like starting it off at first level, whatever, and building all the way up, compared to just starting it, like saying, like, okay, we're gonna start an 8th level game. You know what I mean? Then it kind of makes it difficult because you're like, oh shit, what spell was that?
Yeah, it depends on your familiarity with the system
Yeah.
too, what you can leap into. But no, like building up over time, it gives you more of a chance to
Get attached.
And also just to know their capabilities.
Yeah.
Because if you jump into it playing a high level character and it's a class you're not super familiar with, there's like all these things that you might forget you have options to do or whatever.
Well, I think for me the main thing is just the attachment. You're just like, you don't love that character the way you would love that first level character that you made it through all those levels with,
Yep.
GM killing your party members left and right,
and you're still surviving.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels good,
And
Only
Rangers
to have
definitely-
them choked out in some side room trying to get out of a fight.
Just trying to live.
Rangers
We-
definitely have that progression. Every level they're getting something that's.
Well, everybody gets something. Well, the Rangers even more so. If you look at their progression,
Well, I think all their stuff's really good. I mean, you were saying that that Beastmaster thing could be better and should be better, but
Well, I mean, I think-
overall, I'm liking. I would play a Ranger, and before it was just like I only played a Ranger for a very specific purpose. For a campaign, it was not
to make
like,
a Dritz character.
Oh yeah,
Scimitars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Well-
I started to do that, but the scimitars do so little damage. The scimitars, whatever you want to call them.
Longswords.
Yeah. Well, and then you would just get your crit range as high as possible.
Monkey grip and great swords? I don't know.
But know, unless it was specific, like a lot of flavor, I would shy away from rangers. I'd be like, I'm a fighter that likes the wilderness. That's what I would play a fighter that was more ranger-esque than play a ranger for that purpose.
Just give him a background.
Well, now in 5th we can do things like give him a background, or multi-class him with something else that.
I meant background as in a character background, not a 5th edition.
Oh well, yeah.
choice.
I was thinking
Well, now it's part of like
I've got
the verbiage
Outlander
of,
on the brain.
It's like verbiage of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Terminology.
You didn't mean keyword background.
I didn't mean
you meant
keyword.
The general English definition of a background.
Indeed.
Oh, okay.
Well,
A story even.
a story
so
background.
we kind of railed against the Beastmaster a little. In my game, I'm just letting Rangers play a Beastmaster, and the Beast just has its own actions. I don't care if it slows down the game. Screw you guys.
It's not going to be that much of a big deal. I attack for this. The wolf attacks for this.
What kind
kind
of
story.
what kind of advantage is that giving somebody like
They
basically?
basically get more actions.
Yeah, well, but it's a creature's action. So I mean,
Yeah.
what's the
crea-
best creature you can have at
Oh.
3rd or 4th or 5th?
All right. Well,
The creature's more of an ally.
I guess
too,
that's
mean.
where
well
I'm
at
looking.
3rd level, you get something that's a quarter of a CR or lower, but you add your proficiency bonus to the AC, the attack rolls, and damage, as well as saving throws and skills it's proficient in.
Okay, so it's a very competent
It's,
ally.
Its hit point maximum equals its normal maximum or 4 times your ranger level, whichever is higher. So you've got something that's pretty decent. So I mean, it's going to, even if you got something that's like, oh, it attacks for a D4 or a D6, it's still getting that +2 to hit, from your proficiency bonus, and it's going to have at least a +2 to damage.
Okay.
Unless you've chosen something that's got a negative in strength or something. So I mean, you've got some serious choices that are out there, and
You got some weak ones too. I mean,
yeah,
I'm not too familiar with the what's
at
available.
a quarter you can get some good stuff, but it's going to have really low hit points. is going to be the downside.
Because it's either the monster's max or what?
4 times your
ranger?
level. So that means either 12 hit points or whatever the monster has. Well, I feel like come 4th, 5th level, you're going to be going off of 4 times
right.
at that level. So
Yeah, the thing that I don't see here is that I don't see anything that says that you'll be able to get something that's bigger ever.
Well, so you'll always
you're
have it.
You're stuck at that quarter of a CR.
it just gets better.
It just gets better with your
What can you get at a quarter CR though?
There's a panther's one of
Panther.
them.
See?
I think maybe a wolf. I don't know if a wolf is half or is a quarter.
The Panther specifically in there, so
Wolf-
you can
Wolf
literally
was a
make
quarter.
jerseys.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm
you
gonna
got
play.
the drow.
I'm gonna play a drow.
Draw with scimitars and the Panther.
poisonous snake, raven.
So
rat.
I mean, you can get some cool stuff. So, but with that being said, the friggin' hunter, and this is what annoys me about the Beastmaster is the hunter is so good.
Yeah, well, with the Beastmaster, all I'm saying, if I were to say have an archer character or whatever, I would just totally always milk the snake for venom and just poison tip my arrows.
You hang out back in my pouch,
Yeah,
buddy.
yeah,
Yeah, the snake is in your quiver.
yeah. Just come on,
boar.
just drool.
You can get a boar. They're not bad.
Boar.
That's a good rogue ranger combo
There
there.
you go.
Yeah.
Just poison.
Poisoner
boar.
kit.
Well, you just be a ranger, take the criminal background.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There we go. You don't even need to do rogue levels.
Yeah, and you can get poisoner's tools for your tools or whatever.
Yeah. Trade out one of the other things. Now we're getting ridiculous.
I really like that idea.
Nate's like, I think I'm
Poison
gonna work
archer
on
man. I mean, poison's unless you have advantage on your saves.
I must be
poison's
hungry.
really
He
good.
said boar, and I automatically thought,
Pig. Where's
yeah, if you kill it, ribs, spare ribs, right there.
That's ribs. That's
Pulled
bacon.
pork and spare ribs.
Pork chops.
That was my animal companion. We're eating it right now.
Yeah.
Oh, in my society, we show respect by consuming your loved ones. That are
So I
animals.
mean, all around, dude, I'm actually digging on the ranger. I like the vast array of stuff they kind of dip into, that makes them so much more.
Utilitarian is over
That's the word I was looking
Well,
for in this edition.
and they're very useful overall for the party. When moving through their favored terrain, they can Get food that twice as much as what other people would be able to do.
Well, and think about that. Like the Outlander is the one that they're pushing for that, and with that, you can already get a lot of food and stuff already. You double that.
It's
Right.
you plus 5 other people.
Yeah, so
that would move it up to 10.
Oh, it doubles whatever
It-
you can normally get.
It doubles whatever you can get when moving through your favorite terrain.
And that's not. I don't think that's a roll or anything. That's
So it's
just.
Natural
No, you just
Explorer.
do
You
it.
can do
when,
it.
when traveling for an hour or more through your favorite terrain, you gain the following benefits. Difficult terrain doesn't slow you. Your group can't be lost except by magical means. Whenever you're engaged in another activity while traveling, such as foraging, navigating, or tracking, you remain alert to danger. If you're traveling alone, you can move stealthily at normal pace. When you forage, you find twice as much food as you normally would. While tracking other creatures, you also learn their exact number, their sizes, and how long ago they passed through the area.
That's a lot of advantages.
That's a lot of stuff, and you get that right away.
yeah. I mean, most
So-
of it is kind of flavor stuff. It like mechanically, it's not going to do that
It's
much.
like
As long as
Tonto.
you're in your region.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
But you get like 3 of them by the 14th
10th
level,
level,
or
10th.
whatever 10th. So that's kind of good. You get a bunch. You get 3 different favorite enemies. I like the fact that if you take humanoid, you get 2 instead of 1.
Right. So
You
you
know.
can hate lots of humanoids.
So yeah, so you just go right through.
well, actually, your optimal is kind of taking Goblinoid and then some other, because then that gives you 3 within the Goblinoid.
Well, that's
subsect.
true.
Yeah.
Well, it always felt like, in earlier editions, like you said, you got boned if you took the choices that made the most sense.
Right.
The things you're most likely to have encountered.
Yeah. So
Well,
it's
just because of the number stacking,
But and not only that, because if you took a specific thing like orc, right? So you hate orcs and you're really good at killing orcs and orcs this and orcs that. But if you take giants is huge, huge category.
They are pretty big.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Dragons is an encompassing one, or you have something like aberrations where it's just a lot of different
Aberrations
stuff.
are pretty handy too. Yeah.
that worked really well for the dungeon ranger.
Yeah.
But my point is, it's like every other choice, but the humanoid choice was you got a plethora of things that you're good against. Where, if you pick the thing that kind of makes sense, you're probably hardly ever going to encounter them.
Right.
And well, the fun thing too about 5th edition is you're going to encounter orcs and goblins for a lot longer in your character's career, because with your levels, they're still a threat.
Right.
So it's another way. But of the archetypes, dude, I love the build that you can do here. You have 3 different choices, I think. Oh, except for the multi-tack one, at each of the levels. So 3rd, 7th, 11th, and 15th. You have some really cool options to kind of trick out your ranger in combat.
Yeah, I think I rolled a ranger as one of my backup characters. I
Okay.
think I did a barbarian and a ranger.
Nice.
After the first character death.
Yeah. You're like, I need a
It's
character.
like I'm not
trait.
going through this again. Because that's what really pissed me off the most when that guy died. It was like, shit, I gotta roll a new character right now.
So Rangers, man.
So that's rangers. Okay,
I
left-
think.
left-
I did find one pet peeve with the Rangers,
Other than their pet.
other than their pet. The Foe Slayer, 20th level, you become an unparalleled hunter of your enemies. On each turns, you can add your Wisdom modifier to the attack roll or damage roll. An attack made against one of your favorite enemies. You can choose to use this feature before or after the roll, but before the effects of the roll have been applied. It's a great benefit.
At 20th level.
But at 20th level.
Once a day to add your wisdom modifier.
No, once
around, right?
Once around.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
To either attack or damage.
Yeah,
Not
that would have
both?
been helpful at like 10th level. Something.
Not
Yeah.
both.
Not
Yeah.
both, yeah.
It seems like
It's kind of
it's cool, but way too late.
Yeah, at 20th level, I mean, compared to what some of the other people are getting at 20th level, like...
Well, yeah, some of the
I think,
specialized features.
what's the druid? Like, I don't age and I don't die anymore?
Like, I almost feel like
Definitely.
If you,
Well, if you're the Circle of the Moon, you definitely don't die anymore.
I mean, I almost feel, like if you flip flop like Vanish and Foe Slayer, like, because like practically going invisible like seems more powerful than occasionally I can hurt things or hit things better. Yeah.
Yeah, so that one's a little weird. It's like it's almost like they went through and they got the 20th level and be like, oh man, we
Let's
need
give 'em
one
something.
more.
And
What are we gonna put
and
in
they're just
there?
like, yeah, let's just do this.
So yeah, I kind of agree. Like the Vanish and the Faux Slayer
Well,
seems a little
A
lopsided.
comparison: 20th level, the wizards get signature spell. Right? Signature spell is pretty cool.
Yeah, isn't that casting a first or second level spell at will?
I think
something.
it's you get it as a spell like spell like ability. I think per short rest or something, short long rest, something like that. But anyway, I mean, it sounds cooler than
Yeah, a static bonus to attack or damage at 20th level.
yeah.
Just seems
Well,
kind of
+5 is really +5 to attack would still be a big deal even at 20th, especially if you chose dragons.
yeah.
14th level, choose dragons.
Yeah. Well, no, you're right there. It's just weird. It just
So,
feels weird.
Once around +5. I mean, I think it feels weird because of how many 20th level characters have we played.
Yeah.
So it's like that seems like an ability I would have liked.
It,
Yeah.
Okay, signature spell. You pick 2 third-level wizard spells. They're always prepared. You can cast each one of them using a third-level spell slot without using a spot.
Okay, it's not as good as I thought.
it's at will. It's casted at will.
Oh, it says at will?
No,
Oh, it says use a spell slot, right?
without using a spell
It's
slot.
Oh, without.
You can cast each of them once before a short or long rest.
Oh,
Okay, I missed
you-
the out part of your without.
Yes, it does not. It does not require a spell slot
Okay.
as the part of this ability, but they're always prepared, which means you essentially get extra third-level spells prepared.
Well, that's up to third, right? You could pick Magic Missile and then make it as a third level spell.
It
Right?
says choose 2 third-level wizard spells.
Okay.
So I imagine if the DMs out there, or if a
Magic
player out there
missile at
wanted to
third
say,
level.
"Hey, I want to cast this spell," then sure. If it's lower, jack it up to a third.
So,
sure.
I mean, a +5 to attack would be really cool.
If you have a 20 wisdom.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's based on. It's not. Just
And that's
like
probably not
35.
going to be your highest stat. You know, like
Well,
really.
especially if you get that ability at 20th level, why would you do? Why would you do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the only other thing that goes off your wisdom is your spells. So I don't know how much that factors into your actual attack damage.
Well, survival check, perception, that. It has other benefits, but yeah, you're saying, unless they're.
Mechanically in combat or whatever.
Yeah.
That's why wood elves make the best rangers.
Well, I would say that with that in mind, that seeing that a little earlier would make a big deal.
Yeah, it's I just don't know how much incentives you have to jack up that wisdom.
Yeah. I don't
That,
think
that's
it's
that's
super-
the kind of like the main thing.
It's your perception. It's your survival.
And it's your spells, like your DC saves, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's
Yeah.
that. Especially when you're saying like hail thorns and things is DC.
I don't know, dude. Basically,
Dex save.
I only see you having like maybe like a +2, like
So 14 to
modifier,
16
like
max.
Yeah, I mean, do you think you're really going to be bumping your wisdom with your stats?
because you're going to be more of an attack.
If I got that ability earlier, I would. But
I mean, you're going to be like, all right, do I bump my wisdom or my con?
or dex or strength,
Yeah.
because a lot of this is keyed off of like I might go up and hit things, and then abilities spell.
so
like
for
abilities
the average ranger that we're talking about, you're going to see a plus. You can do a +2 to attack or +2 to damage once a round for a favorite enemy at 20th level.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of weenie-ish.
Yeah. I think would have a big impact if you fought a lot of those, but some of your earlier favorite enemies, like you're talking about goblins.
Well,
I mean,
you are talking about having essentially 3, or if you've chosen humanoids for all of them, up to 6.
Okay.
6 options for favorite enemy if they're all humanoids. That
3 to
That-
6.
that could be impacting, ogres with class levels and giants and that kind of stuff.
So-
I could see it being a big deal.
Is
to
that-
have +4 or 5, but like you guys are saying,
But
if
you're
you're
looking
going to
at-
do
you're
a
looking
+2 or +3.
Yeah.
That's not that exciting for a 20th level ability.
So, I mean, that and the Beastmaster, man, they're my only pet peeves. Other than that, I dig on the Ranger. Like I said, I love the different hunter abilities you get. And, the other thing that's kind of exciting when I look at these archetypes is like, okay, well, what are they going to come out with in the other books?
right.
What other choices are you going to get? So that, that might be really cool. Or if they do like a kit bashing thing in the DMG where it kind of runs you through how to kind of like swap them out and build your own.
Right.
So
Do a hybrid.
yeah, it's very. I think it's very apropos that we're doing Ranger and we have that cricket that won't shut up.
Be like,
he's
what's cricket?
Nerdarchy's new mascot.
Yeah.
I think it's Ted's
He sings.
familiar.
He sings for us.
He called for a pseudo dragon and he got a cricket.
Yeah, okay, say, Jimmy won't leave us alone.
Nope.
So if you know any ways of getting rid of crickets, put them in the comments below.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we'll get a lot of suggestions.
Yeah. So, and then the next time there's a baby video, suggestions for how to get rid of a baby.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
Come on, we love Sammy.
People will have suggestions, but it's before it's brought into the world.
Well, the suggestions for Ted's cricket are things like burn his house down. Wait a minute, I think we suggested that.
You suggested it.
Please
that's
don't
for
burn
sure.
my house down.
All right.
All right, remember, do not set yourselves on fire or burn down Ted's house.
Located at. Blah, blah, blah.
So with that, I mean, you guys can check us out on nerdarchy.com.
Click like, subscribe, even share.
And we're on the Facebooks. And until next time, my friends,
Stay
Stay nerdy.